You know what's real
Really
fucking
annoys me.
annoying? When you're running mods on a game, somebody shoots you, and then they blow up, and all you're trying to do is just take their vehicle.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm playing Borderlands 3 and just
Oh,
modding the horse piss out of it, and yeah.
gotcha.
It's like I'm trying to steal the
Oh,
vehicle so that I don't know if you've ever played the Borderlands series, but, like,
a little bit.
yeah, trying to steal the vehicle so that I can get the mods off of it for other vehicles, and they shoot me, and I'm like, "Fuck." Just blows up back on. I'm like, "God damn it."
Well, shit.
Yeah, it's kinda like, "Well, shit." Like, "Alright, which mod is that?" Now I gotta turn that off.
Ha.
Huh. Well, again, we're talking about games, but anyway, so this is episode 32 of a not a two-part, but we're recording back to back. So we just
I
came
think
off
it's
one, we're going right
32.
into the other.
Well,
But
this
this
is
is
a
a
unique episode.
yes, this is going to be a preview of a show that of another show that we're going to put on Patreon. We're still working on a title because I forgot what titles we came up with. I forgot to write some down, I think,
God damn it.
because we workshopped some titles. But it's gonna be another show where it's gonna be mostly where me and Joe are gonna sit and talk about stuff. But this one is a special one because we're gonna let Joe talk a lot.
So basically, we're going to let each other, because we both can go on a bit of a like autistic like speech, or what do they call it, a in college, a lecture on some of our special interests, because
Lecture.
we're very passionate about things. And while we're not always necessarily the expert in that topic, we tend to know a lot about it. And there's one that Anthony and I have been discussing for a long time, but we've never actually got into the nitty gritty. Like, I've always said, "Oh, I like this. Oh, I like this," and he's just like, "Oh, it's cool. I really want to get into it, but I don't. Like, we don't he hasn't really gotten there." And that's Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah, Warhammer 40K is something I've never actually gotten like deep into. I've watched people play. I've seen like the little figurines and the giant maps and the this, that, and the other. I know
It
some little things
is
like about the orcs.
by and far, I think, the largest science fiction universe in both terms of physical scale and also in terms of like content, because there are books, there is art, there is a multiple tabletop games, there are multiple genres of 40K video games, ranging from like the comedic like shooters, blood and teeth, that orc side scrolling shooter, all the way to like the high level heavy duty games like Gothic Battlefleet, where you play and do massive fleet scale management of like spaceship fighting. Like, it's absurd how much there is to this, and it's getting more. It's picking up steam, and it's getting more popular, especially now that the major studios have started to take notice, because Amazon stole Henry Cavill from DC by offering him the ability to write, direct, and create his own Warhammer 40K, either series or movie. I'm not sure which
And
way they're going
sure,
to go with it. I think it's series, if I remember correctly.
I think it's a series too. But in the short and long of it, yeah, this is gonna
So
be the Warhammer 40K episode or whatever episode we're gonna call this, and
this
I'm gonna
is me
create the intro for it.
explaining
Go
Warhammer
f-
to the team.
go fuck yourself out, L. Ron Hubbard.
So first off, what is the darkest sci-fi, like, or even future, that you could think of? Like, what goes on in that future?
I mean, we talked about this. The Warhammer 40K future kind of sucks as
I
just a
know, but
whole.
like, no, but like, think about it. Like, so like in your thought process, like, what is the worst possible future you could imagine in like the sci-fi future?
You know what? Honestly, probably the worst idea I could think of would be something that has a cross between Terminator and the one with the bugs.
Aliens.
You, like
What?
xenomorphs, or like Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers. Thank you.
Okay.
I would think
What
of
if
it. I think of it like a mix of Terminator and Starship Troopers. would
What
be
about you,
the
Steve?
shitty.
Steve, what about you?
I don't really know because I mean it's
No, I mean, like think like even in any form, like what is like the worst fate you can imagine in a universe in the future?
really and truthfully I don't even know.
Okay.
Come
Well,
back to it. I'll
whatever
come
you
back.
could possibly picture. Like like the horrors of war, psychic monsters, being bred for like by these monsters. Like basically all of that exists within the Warhammer 40K universe. Not only does it exist, but it is such a common occurrence that the value of singular life is so abysmally unimportant that if a battle, not a war, a battle were to have a billion lost lives, it would be considered a slow day. Like
Eh,
it it is horror. Like there's a reason it's called grimdark. It is so dark, it is so pessimistic that war, suffering, and death is just an expectation of life. Rations are made out of like the Soylent Green. That's just the okay rations that people eat. That's like the basics. Like not even going into like the horror stuff within that universe. Children from the moment they're born are basically treated. They're like, oh, cool, like you're gonna be a soldier one day, and just beaten and suffer. Like it's such a dark universe, but there's also in that universe, there's so much opportunity for even the mundane person to rise to heroic level, and then the epic people to also exist. Like, and you follow so many different storylines within that, but I'll summarize it. So the probably the singular most important character in the entire universe if you can call him a man, is a man called the Emperor of Mankind, who has basically been around since like if like we're 2025, their year 40,000. He's been around since roughly 60,000 BC, like the earliest human beings like to exist. Like he was formed from the mass mutation of multiple psychers, which are people who can tap into this like this semi-invisible energy called the warp. Um so they tapped into this. Their consciousness, their bodies essentially like fused together to create the perfect human. A I think he's about 12 feet tall, like perfect features, chiseled, muscular, like the literally perfect human being, and the singular most powerful psychic being in existence. Like, and so psychic is like a huge part of this whole universe because it has to also do with some, like I said, the warp. Now the warp is where the ideas of certain concepts within the universe have manifested into demons. So like when you picture the devil, you're like, oh, like yeah, it's just like this one dude with horns and fire, and like that's hell. Well, in their universe, hell is real, but it's not just one devil. So the first devil is he is the antithesis to life. He is the physical embodiment of decay and death, and his name is Nurgle, or a lot of people call him Papa Nurgle or grandfather.
Nurgle.
Yeah.
Fucking Nurgle.
Oh yeah, and he is
Oh man, don't piss
horrifying.
off Nurgle. Don't
So
piss
he
off Nurgle.
his whole thing is he is constantly just developing new diseases and ways for things to decay and rot. Here, I'm gonna put a picture of him in the side chat. So that's Nurgle.
I just
Um
how
and
how do you okay, for one, how do
mhm,
you get something like that and you come up with something like that design, you look at it and go, you know what we're gonna call that? Fucking Nurgle. That's gonna be
yeah.
Nurgle. That's such a fucking nerd
That's
name.
terrifying.
Fucking Nurgle. Jesus Christ. That's such a
Well, if you
stupid
think
name.
that's bad, wait till you meet Zinch, aka the physical embodiment of chaos and change. Also, like fan based, the world's angriest oyster.
The worst.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that.
He is a
Why is his
god that
why
is
is his
so
why is his dick smiling at me?
I that's the whole thing. You don't fucking know. So unlike Nurgle, where like at least his motives kind of make sense. Basically, he just wants everybody to embrace decay. And he, believe it or not, his minions are wildly happy. Mind you, their brains are just rotted out from disease, but they're happy. They're like in this like blissful state of illness. Zinch,
Chemical lobotomy.
however, is the embodiment of pure like change. Like he doesn't even know what his fucking motives are. He'll send an army into like not a fight. He'll just be like, "I need you to go into this sun," and cool. Like they'll just fucking do it. But he's also his thing is he's also into sorcery too. So like all his people are like really weird. He has a one of his like demon princes is this two-headed bird, and they know the entirety of time itself. But because his consciousness is split between these two birds, he can't tell the difference between what is going to happen and what is currently happening. Like that's the kind of shit that this fucker deals with.
That's
Um
fucking hilarious. Don't know where
Again,
he's coming or
wild.
going.
Then there is corn. So corn is the embodiment of anger.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I totally thought you were gonna throw me a picture of Jonathan Davis for a second, and I was about to crack.
You'd think so. So he's probably the chaos god who has the most zealistic fan base because he has this chant that his soldiers say, and the fan base loves it. It's blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. All he wants is for people
Oh, that's
to
where that came from.
fight
Okay.
and kill. And he doesn't care who does it. All he just cares is that they do it. Is that endless anger, endless war, endless bloodshed. He just wants more skulls to decorate his throne.
You know,
Um
I've heard the blood for the blood god thing, and I've always wondered where the fuck it came from.
and then finally the youngest of the chaos god is going to be Slanesh, who is the how do I put this? If pansexuality were to be embodied in a person,
He's just
um, so and I say person and not man or woman because they are the only chaos god that is gender fluid. They are both male and female. They are both prince and princess of pleasure. Now, mind you,
They look like the demon
essentially they're
from
the
Diablo 4.
BDSM god. Like their followers are constantly fucked up. They're like and pleasure to the excess. They like doing drugs, listening to loud music. Like they're seeking ever greater sensation and pleasure. And sometimes that sensation can be pain. So they're
Oh,
kind of like fucked up.
Cenobites.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Oh, like so like Cenobites would fit absolutely into his her like realm of being. And even the chaos gods themselves are kind of at war with each other because they all are competing concepts. And they also represent the antithesis to actual concepts. So Nurgle is the opposite of life because he's decay. Change, like things need to change for things to happen. Even blood, like the opposite of anger is love. It's actually the really one who's kind of not the antithesis of it. Like she's like order. Is Slanesh because she came about because one of the races called the Eldari. They're basically space elves. She came into existence because on their home planet, they got so hedonistic, so they did so much drugs, they had so much rampant sex, they had so much just wanton like Roman like fall of Rome level desire that they just ripped a hole in space and time and created a new god.
Yeah.
But and they actually, it was literally like when I say rip in space and time, it's actually a rip in space time. It's called the Eye of Terror, which is a direct portal into the warp. Um, it's yeah, looks kind of like this.
Oh,
Just
that's cool.
black. Yeah. Oh my god. Again, everything in these universes is cool. Now, fighting these chaos gods, and what you would call the main characters, so to speak, of this story, is the Imperium of Man, which they're the followers of the Emperor of Mankind. So it
Those are the
was
Space
in
Marines, right?
that well, the Space Marines are a small part of the Imperium. They're not they are the main characters, but they actually don't make up the largest factions within it. Um, the it was around what year did they say? The 31st millennium that the Emperor of Mankind basically forged the Imperium. And in that process, he wanted to create essentially leaders to help him conquer the galaxy. Because even the emperors saw that there was fucked up shit coming down the road, and I'll get into that. But he created these sons of his that were born from his gene seed, his genetics, and they were called Primarchs. They were supposed to essentially
Looked up.
lead his armies. You've probably heard of some of these guys: Robert Gilliman, Lehman Russ, Horace,
Nope.
and nope. Okay, awesome. So basically,
I know
they're
Horus from G.
yeah. They're kind of like clones of him. And so he goes and he makes these clones successfully. But the Chaos Gods are like, fuck you, and they send his sons into the verse. And they get basically abandoned on different planets, and each one of them grows up like, and he doesn't like find them right away. Like he finds these guys as like adults, each living in their own worlds. So the factions of Space Marines all hail from the worlds that these guys were part of. So you have the Black Templars, the Blood Angels, the Dark Angels, the Death Watch, the Imperial Fist, the Iron Hands, the Raven Guard, the Salamanders, the Space Wolves, the White Scars, and probably the most well known, like you see them all the time, the Blue Space Marines. Those are the Ultramarines, and each one
So
of them is led by a Primarch.
so I actually know about I've seen clips from the Death Watch because there was a clip that I saw on TikTok actually when I was scrolling through, um, where this lady showed up on this
Hmm.
planet started with an L, and she was basically saying like, hey, like the Emperor of Humankind or Mankind or whatever has basically said like you're gonna leave this planet and we're going to cull this entire ring of planets to keep this thing from spreading. And he's like, no, we can't do that. We've watched over this
No,
planet for like 2,000
she's
years or whatever.
no. Oh, okay. So we're getting deep in there. She's not a Primarch. She
She's like
so
the right hand of the king
no.
or some shit.
So okay, what she is, that's a separate faction. So they're like Space Marine plus. So uh,
The extra
ev
subscription.
uh, so
They're the premium
kind of.
edition.
So what they are is what you're referring to. She is an Adeptus Custodes, which is the imperial the
That's
guardsman
right.
of the emperor himself. Now,
He called her a
if we
custodian. That's right.
were comparing, so the average space marine, let's say like the basic space marine would it would take maybe 50 space marines to body one chapter master, which is like the head of the chapter, but not a Primarch. A Primarch, depending on which Primarch it is, could probably body 4 times that number solo. Like that's how strong they are. An Adeptus Custodes, a basic Adeptus Custodes, could probably take on a chapter master, if not maybe like 2 to 5 of them could take on a chapter master. Like that's how fucking strong they are. They have the best technology, the best training, the best armor, the best gene seed technology. Like they are the best of the best.
This, I will say, this bitch had probably one of the best jawlines I've ever seen. That
Oh
thing
my
could cut
yeah.
a diamond.
So it's actually funny. There's a huge
Jesus.
there's a huge joke because the Adeptus Custodes basically doesn't really do anything anymore in the universe, and there's a running joke that they basically just sit there and oil themselves like to like maintain their perfection. Um, so this is actual art from within the lore of what they look like because they basically just sit there and just like look pretty because they don't have anything else to do.
It's just an
They
overly
do actually,
muscular.
yeah, just
It's
a bunch of oiled dudes. Like that's
it looks
basically what it is.
it
Fucking,
looks like an
it's like
overly
JoJo's Bizarre
muscular.
Adventure.
It
Yeah,
looks like an
oh no,
overly muscular
that's
old 300.
see, that's a good analogy. Is basically every character from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is an Adeptus Custodes. Like it's
Yeah.
wild. Um, but
So yeah, I think I remember this guy when she showed up. He called her a custodian because he's
yes,
like, "What do you want,
Custodes. Yeah,
custodian?"
yes.
Uh,
So
and
even within the aligned factions, they still kind of fight to a little bit.
oh yeah, he was like he was gonna come at her, and he's like he just thought about it. He's like, never mind. But yeah, I guess they were telling him that they protected this one planet for like the Death Watch
Three
protected this
thousand
one
years.
planet for 3,000 years or some shit, and then there's like, yeah, no, we're gonna call your planet to keep this alien race from spreading.
So that gets
So
into
we're just gonna
the other antagonists within the universe. So besides the forces of chaos, which is demons and machines of evil, there are other races. So the primary other races that you see are the Eldari, which are space elves, the Drukari, which are dark space elves, the Leagues of Votan, which are space dwarves, the Necrons, which are your Terminators, Steve. Except if Terminators also had time and space warping guns that shoot literal acid.
Yeah, that's
and if
Um,
terrifying.
Terminators made cyborgs.
the Orcs, which are and let me summarize this: intelligent mushrooms that if they believe in something hard enough and enough of them
My
believe in it,
favorite.
it becomes true.
It's my
Yeah.
favorite thing. I love the orcs. If
The
you paint it red, it goes faster, and such if
functionally,
they paint
yeah.
something red, it goes faster.
And it's also why, so they also believe that purple makes you stealthier, which is why you have never seen a purple orc because you physically can't. There's the Tau, which is if you like Gundams, the Tau is all on you because they're all mechs. They're a very small,
Hmm.
very young race that just happen to have a burst in technology really quickly. And it's funny because a lot of the fandom really hates on them. But if they had the numbers, they'd probably be the second most dominant force in the universe because
Yeah, I
their
like the Gundam
weaponry
guys.
is wild.
Yeah, the
And then
Taos are cool.
probably
I've seen a couple of bits.
so probably the biggest threat to the universe is the Tyranids. So you guys have played StarCraft before, right?
Yes.
So
A
No, but
long
I've
time
watched
ago.
enough. I know enough
so
about StarCraft.
StarCraft is actually was supposed to be an RTS for the Warhammer universe, but then there was a disagreement between Blizzard and Games Workshop, and then they had to make up their own versions of it. Think the Zerg from StarCraft, except if they were more terrifying. Like, and on top of it, not only are there the Tyranids, there's also the Gene Stealer cults, which are the expeditionary force of the Tyranids, where they will a single hive. I forget. Gene Stealer cult has like a leader behind it. I forget what they're called.
Are there are the Gene Stealer cults? Or are they the ones that look like praying mantis slugs?
No. No. So Gene Stealer cult looks like They look very human-esque, but they started sprouting other arms. And there's a thing called a patriarch, which is a super like it itself has like wild psychic powers, and what its job is to slowly infiltrate planets and essentially breed with other humans and infiltrate Tyranid DNA into the planet and take out key infrastructure, finding out where air bases are, finding out where power plants are, and implementing people into them who, when the time is right, when the fleet of Tyranids arrive to take over the planet, to take out these key resources.
So it's a sexy spy.
I mean, I don't think you would define them as sexy. They're just like bug people. But yeah, sure, whatever you want to go with. You do you. Um, but yeah, they're driven by a hive mind, and the thought, the theory behind it is that everything outside of the galaxy is basically been consumed by the Tyranids, and like they're the last stop. So the what we've seen so far are the expeditionary fleets of this massive entity in hive mind. Like, and even worse than chaos, they think is the Tyranids, and that might be like the uniting factor that like, unites a lot of factions against each other. Because there is, I don't think ever been by any faction a successful campaign on a land campaign against Tyranids. Like they win by attrition every time from sheer numbers.
Gotcha. So it's
Um,
probably the Tyranids is what they were doing in this clip I saw.
yes, it
They're
was.
keeping the
So those,
Tyranids
yeah,
out.
so those things that look like really aggressive praying mantises, yes, that was a form of Tyranid, and they're constantly evolving. And every time you develop a poison or something to deal with them, they evolve around it. Like they're
Ah,
just they're like if the Borg was biologic and not technologic.
they're very similar to um a enemy that showed up in Marvel comic books that come from a different dimension, and they're basically the same thing. There's giant bugs that just infest and
Yeah, no,
tearing
I
universes
know what you're
apart.
talking about. Yeah, exactly. Think like that, but even more so, it's not just about infesting. So they're just hungry. And but they don't like just want like people. They consume the biomass of the entire planet. They have like a caste of their race that will just melt plant matter, animal matter, like anything biological, and it will melt it into this essentially puddle, and it's called biomass, and they'll consume that biomass and make more Tyranids.
Uh,
And the better the biomass, the better the Tyranids that comes from it. So, like, if God forbid they were to consume a Primarch, you'd see something come out that would be the equivalent of you're a Hunter x Hunter fan, right?
mm-hmm.
Remember the Ant Emperor?
Ugh.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, that's gross. That's a
Yeah,
gross idea.
like Vegeta, but basically made bug form. Like that's the kind of shit that would come out. But yeah, back to the Space
Majin
Marines though.
Mantis. A fucking Majin Mantis.
So after the Emperor of the Mankind's Primarchs, his sons, were dispersed in the universe, they each grew up on their own planets, and they kind of took to the elements within each zone, each race, each not race because they were all still humans on these planets. Um, but they basically kind of like took to each side, and eventually he collected those sons back and started producing Space Marines, and they built up armies, and they were conquering the universe. And his son who was leading them, his name was Horus. And led a traitor legion. He led the Horus the Luna Wolves, the sons of Horus, and he led this armies. And eventually one of the other brothers would kind of, through psychic power and through like being coerced by chaos, would basically be like, hey, you should be the one to actually lead humanity. And father is not trusting, and he's going to ruin humanity, and he's going to be the downfall. You should take over humanity. And Horus essentially falls to chaos. So him and half. So there's a split pretty much down the middle of half the Space Marines, and then the other half of the Space Marines and their Primarchs just going bop and going to war with each other. And it was a very short war. But it's still kind of fighting to this day because it's not a war anymore. Now it's more engagements and like battle, like just constant fighting. But
Skirmishes.
there was the Siege of Terra, which was kind of like the climax of this event, and multiple Primarchs die. The Emperor himself gets mortally wounded by Horus. before he basically blows him apart with mind bullets. And so
Not the mind bullets.
I'm not kidding, fucking mind bullets, because he's a fucking insane psychic. But
Shout out to the losers. One of the best movies.
he's so insanely powerful. The emperor himself is what's called a perpetual, but not everybody knows that. Even if he were to die, he would still be reborn and be able to move his essence into another body. The problem is he's just alive enough that they can keep him alive, but then they put him in this chair, which keeps him in this state of like just being barely alive. And they do that by sacrificing 1,000 psychers a day to this chair so that he can consume their essence. They're keeping him alive because he is essentially their GPS. He is the psychic point in space and time that allows for warp travel, which is essentially like going to light speed. Because you remember we've talked about Event Horizon.
Yeah, love that movie.
Okay, so you know how like they pass through a wormhole and end up on the other side, but while they pass through that wormhole, they enter hell.
Mm-hmm.
That's the exclusive form of travel for humanity in the Warhammer 40k universe. Is essentially they open a rip in time that travels then through the warp, which is literal hell, to get to other sides of the universe, of the galaxy.
Okay. I can vibe with it.
But they need essentially like a central point so that they know psychically, because the warp is a psychic place, to locate Earth as like the central point of their navigation systems. And that is based off of the fucking Emperor. So if he dies, they lose the ability to travel through the galaxy.
Ooh.
Yep. And
Okay.
after about this takes about 1,000 years, but in that 1,000 years, and he, even then they worshipped him as an emperor, but they didn't worship him really as a god. A few factions did, and that's where it gets problematic. Is when he falls, when he ends up in this chair, he can't communicate. Like he's just a husk. Like he's basically a corpse.
He's
Um,
brain. He's in all actuality, he's more of some guy in a coma.
basically, like this, and like he goes from looking like space Jesus like this here. So this is him alive,
Fucking space Jesus.
Space Jesus. I mean,
and then
yeah.
this is him on the golden throne. Very big difference.
Jesus.
Like literally missing an eye.
Christ.
Yeah, he's having a bad day. But the
You
Space
think?
problem
Jesus
is
with a
there are
claw.
factions within the Imperium of Man. They view him not only as just an emperor, but as a literal god, which goes against everything he ever wanted. And so you have these factions that kind of sprout up and pray to him and in his name. The most prominent
They're running around.
factions,
All hail space Jesus.
basically, yeah. So you have the Astra Militarum, which is the grunt infantry of the humans. They basically run on the same principle that Russia did during the siege of Stalingrad, where um, if you're a coward, you get shot, even though like you're literally just facing infinite death and the terror of like a 14-foot tall orc with steel claws, and you're just like a human with a las gun, which is in this universe essentially the equivalent of a flashlight. Like the standard infantry weapons for most infantry are about as efficient as a flashlight to most enemies. Like it's tough. It's real bad to be in the Astra Militarum. Now they got some cool gadgets and vehicles and shit, but like it's not for the everyday grunt. You have the Adeptus Mechanicus, which is a faction of space monks, except the monks believe that the flesh is weak, and they just constantly want to improve the body mechanically, and they're constantly searching for research and all sorts of various things. They constantly modify themselves. That's a space priest right there.
All right,
And
Cybermen 2.0.
oh yeah, huge. They're also the primary weapons manufacturers of the Imperium. So even though they worship a god called the Omnissiah, which is the machine spirit, and any engineer will tell you the Omnissiah is a real being. If you bleed on technology and it works better, like don't fucking argue with the machine spirit. You have the Imperial agents, which make up like a variety of different things, but the two main ones is you have the Officio de Assassinum, which is the assassin like office. They execute people or enemies, even internal and external, constantly, and there's multiple versions for different tasks. Like there's assassins who can mold and change the way they look so they can infiltrate deep cover and then eventually just stab someone in the back. There's like snipers who can basically shut off their autonomic systems for years and stay in rubble waiting for the right shot. And then there's also a fucking fucking assassin who's just like, this thing is so dangerous that we keep it in stasis and then we just drop it on a planet and that's when we want everything on that planet gone. Massive hulking mechs. But probably one of the funniest offices. So there's two, and they kind of go with each other. Is the Inquisitors, who are in charge of making sure that the will of the God Emperor, and by God Emperor I mean the Ecclesiarchy, which is their like bureaucratic government, that no one is thinking chaotic thoughts. So
Space
it's like,
Marine
oh,
Vatican.
yeah, they're basically the soldiers who can just go, oh, the people of this planet don't believe in space Jesus, kill the planet, and they'll just like nuke a planet. But their like fighting arm of that is the Adepta Sororitas, which are female, essentially female space marines. They are not as enhanced as space marines are, but they also kind of work like orcs, where by sheer belief in the Emperor, they can kind of make shit happen. Like they have essentially a hero soldier. Her name is Saint Celeste, Celestine. She constantly gets killed in battle, yet she'll just show up in places. Like she's this like weird perpetual who just like resurrects herself constantly and inspires other soldiers. You also get as an Adeptus Sortus, they also have a like a grunt infantry, which is what happens when you commit crimes. So there's two ways that you can be punished really, besides death, which is the best of the solutions, honestly, that you can get as a criminal. Because the other two options is you could become a servitor or you could become
We've talked about the servitors.
oh my god, servitor. So, Steve, you have smart home stuff, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if your light switches, your smart light switches, were a human skull with a functioning brain inside of it, and that's what ran your smart switches. That's a servitor. And those exist literally on every planet, on basically every doorknob, every power plant, because they don't believe in high level computer technology because there was an AI uprising, so now it's considered banned technology. So they're just like, well, instead of AI, we're just gonna like torture human beings
Thanks,
and just
Dune.
like, yeah, like fuck that shit. The other version is instead of becoming a servitor, they turn you into either a flagetant or a penitent engine.
A flagelant. So much,
Where
so close to flatulent.
so they
I'll see.
basically turn
That's
you
a choice.
into a persistent pain infantry or mech suit where like you're just being tortured constantly and experiencing pain so that you can inflict pain on other people. Like absolutely horrifying. Um, but yeah, those are pretty much all the primary factions within the 40K universe. Now, the cooler factions, obviously, like everybody has their favorites, and there's some really cool shit out there. And there's something for everybody. Whether you want soldiers or mechs or these massive tanks, like the game when you play like the main game, the tabletop game, you could have battles ranging from a combat patrol, which could be like 5 to 12 like infantry units, to like you've seen before, like the massive like battles where it's like a whole battlefield and with hundreds of units and thousands of units on there.
think the largest fight I saw at Cape Fear Games was a 200 on 200 um
Yeah. So
fight
the
battle or
way the
whatever.
game works is units are assigned a point value, and you have like the each battle has an assigned amount of points you're allowed to use. So as an example, this is one of the larger ones. This is 144,000 point army. As you can see,
Jesus.
there's rows of infantry, rows of tanks, rows of mechs, rows of ships, an Imperial Knight, which is that big ass mech thing that you see back there. Like, shit can get unreal. And like you would literally so to accurately play one of those rounds with that many units, what they'll do is they'll typically rent out like a party hall or a VFW, and the entire hall becomes a functional battlefield. And it works because it's not based off of like D&D how there's like a grid pattern.
Right.
It's an open field and it's all based off of actual rulers. So you have inches to determine like your firepower and like how effective it is or how far you
Gotcha.
can
That's pretty
move.
cool.
It's really cool. Like to functionally watch it, it takes forever to play it, but it's really cool to watch. And
Yeah.
there's like different phases, like there's prep phase, there's action phases, like before the game even starts, like you're setting up like how things are going to disperse out. Um, but it's really cool to watch. But to me, I personally, I think the Primarchs, because there's so much lore behind them, and they're so fucking cool from a Billy standpoint, and like their stories and what they do. Like that's where like you really get into it. So if you had to like think like from a battle perspective, from like a like because you've seen how like Space Marines work, like what was like one of your favorite aspects of like battle that you think would apply to it? Because there's a Primarch for everything. Like, are you a
See,
defensive
don't.
person? Are you a stealth guy? Like, are you all big on technology? Like, what would you define as like if you were in the future and you were this superpowered being? Like, what would your specialty be?
Oh, see, what I like to do is I like to play like if I was to play a game like that, I like to play defensively while making maneuvers in those defensive positions. And eventually, what happens is I end up overtaking my whoever I'm up
So
against.
the closest to that is actually there is actually a branch of that. It would be called the Imperial Fists, led by Rogel Dorn, who describe Rogel Dorn.
These fucking names, fucking
Oh
Nurgle,
yeah, the
Rogaldorn.
names are the names are phenomenal. So so the Primarch names, just so like so you know them all. There's Lion L Johnson. Um, that's Lion, and then his last name is L Johnson. He is the Primarch of the Dark Angels. There's Fulgrim, the Primarch of the Emperor's Children. Perturbo, the Primarch
What
of the Iron Warriors.
a
Jagatai
turbo?
Jagatai Khan, the Primarch of the White Scars. Leman Russ of the Space Wolves. Rogaldorn, the Imperial Fists. Conrad Kurz of the Night Lords. The Night Lords are fun because they are one of the only they actually I think not one of they are the only faction of Space Marine that when they went over to Chaos changed literally nothing about their aesthetic. Like imagine Edgelord.
Are you sure the names for these people weren't like created by some incest bred trailer park?
I mean, I don't know, man. But the Night Lords are basically Edgelord Batman. If he believed in murder and torture. Um, there's Sanguinius of the Blood Angels, Ferris Manus, the Iron Hands. Not really creative, but Angron of the World Eaters. He's the angriest of their fucking. I think they got lazy on him. Probably the main character of the series right now. Rabute Gilliman. Of the
Reboot.
Ultramarines. Yes, Rabute. Um, so Gilliman is in charge of the Ultramarines, the Blue Space Marines. Basically, he is Space Caesar. Because their aesthetic is very much based within like the Roman kind of like Greek kind of
Yeah, I noticed that.
architecture and stuff. But I think as much as it's basic, I do love the Ultramarines because they have the best specialty out of any other legion. Like the other legions are, I will arguably say, way cooler. But functionally, there's a reason that they are the dominant Space Marine faction. Their superpower is the exact same as the U.S. military's.
Just sheer numbers and money.
Nope, logistics. They have the single best logistics. Like, imagine if America didn't have strife, like, and just agreed on everything and we could just produce. That's how the Ultramarines work, is that they have the single most efficient systems of government, efficient systems of production, and battlefield logistics of any faction. They could be anywhere in the universe at any time with a full army and be good at everything. Not great,
That's kind of
but
awesome.
good. Like, they're just fantastic. There's Mortarion of the Death Guard, Magnus the Red, Horus, Lorgar, Vulcan, who is the best Primarch in my opinion. Corvus Corax and
Really, you don't think
Alfarius.
Logar?
Oh, Lorgar is a piece of shit. He's the single most hated. So he's the reason for the heresy. Um, like for like the whole Space Marine faction and like the Imperium going into this dark age. Like he is the catalyst behind all of that because he's a piece of shit. Um, and then there's Alfarius and Omegon of the Alpha Legion. They're just fucking obscure for obscure's sake. You never really know who Alfarius is. Like technically every one of his Space Marines are all Alfarius. Like it's I'm Spartacus. No, I'm
I am
Spartacus. Like
Spartacus, yeah.
basically, yeah. But for you, so like your play style, you would be a Rogel Dorn. Rogel Dorn's Imperial Fists specialize in building like battlements. They're phenomenal builders. They specialize in defensive tactics. They are the army that weathers the siege. They have a cool aesthetic to them too. Like they're fully yellow. They look like construction workers. Um, they're interesting to say the least. Why are they? They also they are one of the primary fighting forces against the orcs. Because to fight orcs, you typically have to take a very defensive stance.
Yeah, when you got an orc who dumps himself in red paint and all of a sudden it's the fucking Flash.
Yeah. So Imperial Fists. Yeah, again, they have a great aesthetic to them. They like their armor is kind of peaked. Like they build like they have fucking bulldozer tanks. Like
I do love that it looks like the entire army sponsored by Caterpillar.
pretty much. Yeah, Caterpillar and DeWalt.
Right.
I will say too, Rogel Dorn also has one of the most aggro weapons in out of the Primarchs. Like they all have pretty cool weapons, but he has the biggest chain sword in all of Warhammer 40K. Like he's roughly, oh my god, how tall is he? Rogel Dorn.
No question.
Size.
When it comes to these guys and you're talking about height, is this height without the armor? Because aren't they
Yes.
like typically like I'll say because aren't they supposed to be like because I always thought that they were just normal sized dudes. They just got screwed and locked into this armor that made them huge, and
Okay,
like most of it
so
was mechanical.
no, believe it, well, it does increase them a little bit, but so this is a reference chart. So at the very bottom is an average, on the right side is an average human, 6 feet tall. A standard Space Marine stands at 7.5 feet tall, like average Space Marine. There's bigger ones.
Sorry,
A
Anthony. That means you're a below average human height.
I know I'm below average human height, asshole.
An upgraded Space Marine stands at 8.5 feet. A Custodes starts at 9 feet, like an average Custodes, and an average Primarch stands at 10 feet tall, like bare clothed. The biggest Primarch is Vulcan. He was the biggest of his brothers. And then the Emperor of Mankind is 14 feet tall. And there's a reason that loincloth is so fucking long too. Like he's a fucking beast. But yeah, like it's like the scale of these dudes is huge. So he's
That
fucking
big ass
10 feet
that chain
tall,
sword ain't
and
the only thing he's swinging.
that sword is almost as big as he is. So that's a 10-foot long chainsaw sword. Like fucking absurd. Um, and even like in the
Dude,
scale of the universe as a whole, like what like the shit that people regularly fight, like these are the size of the Imperial forces, like on an average day. So a Space Marine is, oh my god, where is a Space Marine? In about the middle. So in power armor, they're in like the top middle up there. They again, that's about like 7-8 feet tall. And then they're fighting shit that is 100 foot tall.
see the little Voltron looking thing there in the middle left with the
Middle
cat head.
left. Cat head.
Oh, looks like a cat head. Looks like a cat head with a gold mask on it.
Cat head gold. Oh, yeah. So that is a scout titan. So that's one of the smaller titans, and it's not a cat; it's a wolf.
Uh,
Yeah.
Definitely
Um.
looks like a cat.
Fucking again. Fucking terrifying. The shit that's out there. Like you are a smallest person, and then there's a building that's firing lasers at you. Um. Like it's such an insane universe, but each faction. So like the back to the Space Marines. The Sorry, from I'm going through my reference guides on this too because like there's just so much to reference that I don't want to like, oh fuck, like no, we're not talking about that. Um, oh my god. So the first faction, the Dark Angels, they are the I'm good at everything faction. They don't specialize in any particular form. They're just really good at all combat, and their
all
aesthetic is
trades, masters
very
of none.
basically, yeah. Oh no, well they're also masters of many. That's the whole fucking thing with them. There's not a lot of them, but they're really good at what they do. They don't have any particular flavoring to them. But their aesthetic style is very how do I put this? They live on a planet where it's a forest that is just full of horrifying shit. So they're constantly hunting, and they take on like a warrior monk kind of aesthetic with the hoods and very paladin-esque. The Emperor's Children are with Fulgrim. They were based in like, oh, like we're artists. We're really good at how do I put it? They were just standard soldiers, but they also were like intellectual, not only fighters. Iron Warriors was like if you crossed the Adeptus Mechanicus with Space Marines and were like, hey, let's just like make Space Marines that are like jacked up with technology. Um, but the problem was when they fall to chaos, they kind of get implemented with a lot more technology, and their Primarch is just a walking Gundam. The White Scars are what would happen if the Genghis Khan went to space, but instead of horses, they use motorcycles.
I love that.
They go real fucking fast. He is one of the fastest Primarchs, Yagatai Khan, in all of 40K. I think the only one faster. There's only two faster than him. There's Corvus Corvax and Sanguinius. I think are the only two faster, but they both have wings. So yeah, I mean he
It's
like
unfair advantage.
yeah, the man is quite literally fucking space Genghis Khan. Like here, look at this fucker.
Oh my god, he is Space Genghis Khan. What a majestic
Um,
horse.
oh, he's yeah, majestic as shit. Um,
He's the
Lehman Ru-
space version of that fucking Hun from Mulan.
Yeah, yeah, Shang Tsung, yeah, absolutely. Except he's a good guy. He's like a really good guy. Lehman Russ and the Space Wolves. So basically, furries in space. They're cursed with like a form of lycanthropy, and they develop over time like his sons. Because all of the Space Marines, they're essentially related because they receive the gene seed of their Primarch. and they like get implemented with his DNA, and that's how they get so powerful because they're taking regular people and just putting this organ that's called a gene seed into them. It's grown and then like produced out, and that's what makes
That
them
just
better.
sounds filthy. I'm
Oh,
gonna give you my gene seed.
the process of becoming a space marine is horrifying. Like some of the factions, so like they'll pick up children and they'll be like, okay, cool, so on the flight there, by the way, to the place where we're going to train you to become this, you're going to beat each other up, and the last 500 of you or 1,000 of you, whatever however many they have, to still be alive by the time we make it there, will become space marines, and if there's over this many, then we're going to kill all of you. Like that's the kind of like
Jesus.
Russian level horrifying grim dark shit that they get put through. And that's before they even get to training. Um now so like yeah, the Space Wolves, Imperial Fist, Night Lords again, fucking edgy Batman. Like they put human flesh on their shit. Like they're like even when they were good guys, they still looked kind of like this. Not even kind of, actually like this. Like you see that and you're like, "Ah, that's a good
Jesus
guy."
Christ. Jesus, it looks like the
Like
so there was a run of Batman for a while where Bruce Wayne lost his memories. It was after Endgame, and then Jim Gordon took over as Batman wearing a Batman mech suit that looked just like that.
mm.
Not even gonna lie to you.
So yeah, the Blood Angels, this is their leader, Sanguinius. He was a very pretty
Sanguinius.
Sanguinius could see the future, a little bit, and he kind of knew what was going on, but he also knew it was his destiny to die. He was killed by Horus, and that's kind of what sparked the Emperor to kill Horus, because he's like, you killed my literally favorite son. Fuck you. But his sons, the Blood Angels, they have an unfortunate trait where they can go into this blood rage, where they view any person around them as Horus because they're all still pissed that they killed their dad. So they go into that fucking rage. They also can develop into vampires.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the vampire aesthetic all over that dude.
Yeah, the Iron Hands again, same, like, just very technology based. Now the World Eaters, that's an interesting one. The World Eaters, they're just angry. So I'll show you a picture what one looks like with its helmet off because this explains a lot about oh, actually, so perfect. This is Angron. Um so he's, just a very happy guy.
Jesus Christ.
So you see those like cables going into his skull?
Yes.
Those are called the nails of agony. So basically, they're in considerable pain all the fucking time, and like they're driven to just be angry people, and it's perfect now because now they're literally under the god of anger, after the Horus heresy. So I mean, they have a good existence now, for themselves. They're just at war and in constant pain. It's a good life.
It's wonderful.
Um,
So
the old yeah.
we've hit an hour, Joe.
Wow. Okay. I have gotten through half of
Yeah.
the legions. That's funny.
So we'll have to come back. Me and you will do one of our
Yeah. So that's part
actual
one. Part
Patreon.
one.
This part one. So part one is free. It'll be on Spotify. We'll put it out everywhere, and then you can follow us on Patreon. And if you pay the $5 tier, we'll put this up on Patreon. Hell, we'll even put episode 2 for free on Patreon. It's just you're gonna have to go to Patreon to find it. So
Mhm.
do that. I will quickly just say thanks to our sponsor W for for being there and sponsoring us. Go check out and use code Science SCINCE. Uh, and go ahead and get that SCIENC. And go ahead and get that 10% discount. Steve, I appreciate you withstanding that whirlwind of information. Nurgle, fuck you, Nurgle.
Autism. Oh
Bum, bum.
wait till we talk about the Space Marines that like aligned with Nurgle. They're fucking hysterical. Basically, their Primarch grew up in Newark. Like he just breathed in toxins and fumes for his
It's
whole
just
life.
this bunch of Space Marines with New Jersey accents. Anyway, bye everybody. Thanks for hanging out. And Joe, I appreciate you sharing your information with Warhammer because I knew none of this, and this is all.
And it's cool, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna we'll do this back.